Hello, I have Agnieszka here today. Hi, Agnieszka, how are you?
Hi everyone.
Can you tell me about the situation with coronavirus in Poland, please?
Yes, okay. So the closure really in Poland started at the end of March and it's still continuing so far. As far as the data is concerned, for now we have about 16,000 cases confirmed of coronavirus and over 800 people dead. I know that compared to other countries like Italy or Spain, it's not really a lot. No, but still, for those people, it's certainly a tragedy. Uh, I'm a teacher and I teach at primary school. So me personally, for example, I work from home. We work online. I have my lessons. We use different platforms. We are all adjusting to the new conditions and it's not perfect obviously because it's a bit difficult with some of the students to motivate them through the net. But I think that we are managing okay. uh, as far as going outside, we are allowed to go outside wearing, of course, masks and gloves or using some, liquid sterilizing liquids. We reopened the big shopping malls last week, but the thing is that there is a limit of the people, right? Like three or four per cash register in the store. So they are pretty much deserted anyhow. It's not many people there. We can go outside, we can go to the forest for a walk, for a bike ride, to jog, using the precautions, the masks, and keeping the distances of 2 meters apart, right? 2 meters apart.
And tell me about the mask. Is it compulsory or is it recommended to wear mask?
This is compulsory now.
So
You
what
have
happens
to.
if you don't wear it? Is there any fine?
Well, this is the point that there isn't a policeman, on every step that you take. And when I go sometimes, out, I see people without masks. This is really impossible, really, to force on every person. You just have to make them aware and just hope that they will be conscious enough to do it, right? But like in every other society, there are risk takers everywhere and they just will do it on their own. But most of the people, I must say, that they do wear masks, okay, and they try to keep the distance. And there are special lines in the shops, right, where you have to stand to be sure that you have 2 meters apart. But no, of course, it's very difficult on everyday basis. So I practically limit myself to go food shopping once for maybe 10 days or even 2 weeks. Just try not to, expose myself to it. You never know when you're gonna catch it. How is it really? Who's infected, who's not? And it's really very difficult to be sure 100% when you're outside. For public transportation, like buses, you can take the public bus, but there are less of them, and you can sit on every other seat. So it's like half the passengers per bus, really. We The schools are closed till 24th of May, and then they will think what to do. They tried to reopen the preschools and kindergartens, but this was really, I would say, a disaster, even because this is impossible to tell a 4-year-old to stay 2 meters away from your friend and just stay in a certain area, right? Play with your blocks and have no interaction with others, right? So a few of those kindergartens reopened, but most of them are still closed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's general situation for that.
And the borders are closed, I suppose.
The borders, yes, of course. The borders are still closed, and there is this 2 week of quarantine if the citizen, right, comes back home. And when you are on quarantine, you are not allowed to leave your place, your flats, your house at all. So the police comes and they call you, and you have to look through the window, and they check you if you are still at home, if you don't leave. Some people, of course, left their flats, but they were fined, and the police caught them, and they paid for it. Because,
Do you know how much is the fine?
The fine was about three. They said there's going to be 30,000 zlotych, which is a lot, but I think that it depends on the case, and they can establish it somehow on different basis. So it's not the same for everyone. The other shops, like for building, for example, with the materials and things like that, they are open, but still the masks, the distances, and the weekends they are closed. It was at some point it was difficult at those nursery homes for elderly people because there were a few of them got infected, and since this is really a closed place, many other patients were infected as well. So if you have a family member in such a place, you are not allowed to visit. If you want to bring them something, you can just enter through the gate and pass something to the worker, and don't see them.
Are there any special measures for people who are over 60, over 70?
Yeah, the older ones are advised to completely stay home, and the family is supposed to bring them food and things. So it's working like this. But I live in a neighborhood where you have like houses, right? And I can see sometimes those elderly people taking walks simply. But I think this is okay because there are not many people, and we have like little forests close by, so they just take walks. And now every dog is appreciated because you are allowed to go for a walk with your dog. So you can borrow from a neighbor if you want, then you go for a walk.
And does it mean if you don't have a dog, you aren't allowed to leave unless you go shopping for food?
Well, now you can, but before you weren't allowed. Like 2 weeks ago, you weren't allowed. But last week they started to loosen those rules a bit, and now you can go.
And
But
2 weeks ago, how did it work? That you were allowed just to go to buy food or go to a pharmacy, and apart from that, you had to stay at home?
exactly, and when you were driving, for example, the police could, stop you and ask you where you're going, and if you said, let's say, food shopping, then they check where you live because you are allowed to go to the closest food shop and supermarket, right? Not to go somewhere else. And all the public places like, churches, for example, they were closed. They are still closed. The cemeteries, you don't go there either. So police was also standing around the town. If you were leaving the town, they were stopping you, right? And asking, why are you going there? You shouldn't, and so on. Well, this has a huge impact on the economic system, of course. Many people got their salaries reduced a bit. Some of them even, lost their jobs. Especially for this private sector is very hard because they are closed. Really, they can't sell, deal with anything, and they have to pay the taxes and other duties.
Are there any relief for those who lost their job or who couldn't continue their operation?
Yes, they are. Yes, the government gives them the minimum allowance, right? Which is really small. It's about 1,000 zloty, which is very, very small. But the businesses, they were freed from those taxes for 2 months for now. And they slowly want to, start and reopen it in a few steps. But at the end of May, beginning of June, they are thinking of reopening it. Not completely, of course. The traveling, the planes, everything is really closed for now.
Mm-hmm.
So also this traveling business, tourist business will suffer a great deal.
Yeah.
Globally.
And what about if you have family in other part of Poland? Does it it means that you can't see them really?
Now you can. Last week they said yes that you can go, and preferably by your car, so you don't use the public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can go. You can just drive.
Yeah, and I have a last question. Was
Okay.
there in the beginning any panic shopping?
Panic shopping. Oh, the first week. Yeah, first 2 weeks. I think that I bought more things, especially like dry food that can stay longer. And everyone was saying, "Oh, you have to gather some because you never know how long it will last and so on." But now everything is kind of calmed down a bit. No, obviously it's a normal human reaction, I would say. But even I remember that the first week or 2 weeks, the food prices went up, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and meat very much, like 60%.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And I mean, how much meat can you freeze, right? No, you can't buy the whole cow, right? So there is no sense. You just go a bit vegetarian or vegan, I don't know. Partly. But now it's okay. It's down to the normal level again. The same.
Okay.
So we are hoping that with this summer, when it comes, the end of June, July, we'll be able to go to a nice restaurant, to sit within 2 meters, of course. But because the social life, right, that suffers. Everything is online and all the other meetings are online.
Yeah, so hopefully it will be possible by then.
Yeah, the
Thank
contact
you
with
so much.
another human being, right? Simply real socializing. That's what's
Yeah.
missing at this point.
Thank you so much for coming here.
My pleasure. It was nice talking to you too.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.